All right, so today's topic, well, it's a real vertigo inducer. We're going to explore a set of ideas that seriously challenges how we see just about everything. The floor beneath our feet, our own hands, the very fabric of existence itself. We're asking the biggest question there is.
I mean, what is all this? What's the actual fundamental stuff of existence? It's the one question that sits underneath every other question you could possibly ask. And we're not just going to talk philosophy here. We're diving straight into quantum physics and information theory to find an answer that is profoundly different from our default settings.
You know, most of us, without even realizing it, tend to view the universe in one of two ways. On one side, you've got the matrix view. Reality is a simulation, it's all just code, zeros and ones, a digital world. And then on the other side, you have the cosmic soup. Reality is this fluid, spiritual wave where everything is connected, just one big analog continuum. So you're either a coder or a hippie, right? Well, what if both of those are just two sides of the very same coin?
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by correcting a famous phrase that has led a lot of us astray. Then we'll explore that quantum soup and figure out how solid things actually emerge from it. We'll land on our core idea that matter is condensed information, and finally, we'll see why this new worldview really, truly matters in our day-to-day lives.
Okay, so to get where we're going, we first have to fix a huge pop science misunderstanding. And it all starts with a simple three-word phrase that you've probably heard before, but might have misinterpreted.
This little phrase comes from the legendary physicist John Archibald Wheeler. It from bit. Now, at first glance, it seems to perfectly support that matrix, digital reality viewpoint, right? The it, the physical thing, comes from the bit, the piece of information. So the rock in my hand is just a file rendering on some cosmic screen. But that is not what Wheeler meant. Not at all.
And here's the trap. When we hear the word bit today, we immediately picture a computer chip, right? A little switch that's either on or off. We project our modern technology onto the fundamental laws of physics, and we assume the universe is built from these tiny informational Lego blocks. This is the core misconception we have to correct.
So the crucial point is this. A bit, to Wheeler, wasn't a thing. It was an event. It's simply the answer to a yes or no question. It's that moment of distinction when a measurement is made, when a difference is registered. So a bit isn't the Lego block itself, it's the click of two Lego blocks connecting. The universe isn't made of bits. It creates bits whenever it interacts with itself.
Now, that completely changes the picture, doesn't it? If reality isn't a grid of binary switches, then what is it? To find out, we have to go all the way down to the quantum level and see the true nature of this soup before it ever becomes the solid its of our world.
Down at the quantum level, there are no tiny little billiard balls bouncing around. I mean, that model is useful sometimes, but it's fundamentally wrong. Instead, what reality actually exists as is a field of pure potential, what we can call a gradient. An electron isn't a single dot, it's more like a cloud, a smear of probability, this haze of maybe it's here or maybe it's over there.
And this, of course, is the million-dollar question. I'm touching a very, very solid table right now. It doesn't feel like a smear of probability. So how do we get from that ghostly quantum soup to this hard, definite it that's stopping my hand right now?
Well, the process basically happens in 3 steps. You start with the gradient, that open field of pure potential. Then, something comes along and creates a constraint, an interaction that forces that potential to make a choice. And from that constraint, a definite localized state emerges. The it is born.
And it is absolutely crucial that we understand the word observation here. This isn't about a conscious mind creating reality by looking at it. No, an observation is simply any physical interaction that constrains the field. A photon of light hitting an electron, that's an observation. An air molecule bumping into a system, that's an observation. It forces the cloud of maybe to collapse into a definite, yep, it's right here. It creates a bit of information.
Okay, so we've got this process where interaction creates definite states. This leads us right to the core thesis of this entire explainer, and for me, this is where it gets really, really exciting. The relationship between matter and information, it isn't a one-way street, it's a feedback loop.
First, you have information condensing into structure. Think of a pattern, an idea, becoming a physical thing. But then, and this is the beautiful part, that new structure turns around and constrains information. It's a two-way street. So an abstract pattern, like steam, condenses into a physical form like an ice cube. But once that ice cube exists, its structure limits what can happen next. They literally co-create each other.
And this just brilliantly illustrates what's called the density model. Honestly, this was the biggest aha moment for me. Information and matter aren't different substances. They are the same underlying field at different densities. Information is a low-density pattern, kind of like a gas. Matter is a high-density, stabilized form of that exact same pattern, like a solid. It's all the same stuff, just in a different phase.
And this is not just a cool metaphor. Take gravity, for example. Einstein taught us that mass tells space-time how to curve. Okay, but what is curvature? It's geometric information. So a massive object like a star isn't just a heavy rock. It's a region of incredibly high-density geometric information that is literally bending the fabric of reality around it. A black hole? That's the ultimate concentration of information.
Okay, this is all beautiful and pretty mind-bending, I get it. But why does any of this matter if you're not, calculating the curvature of space-time? Well, it matters because it helps us escape the trap of binary, black and white thinking that limits so much of our lives.
The source material used this brilliant Star Wars analogy that just nails it. We tend to see things as good versus evil, light versus dark, a binary choice. But in this gradient view, the light side and the dark side, they aren't opposites. They're just different stable curvatures of the same underlying field, the force. They're different ways of organizing and interacting with that field. Anakin Skywalker didn't just flip a switch. He slowly slid down the gradient into a completely different pattern.
And this has huge, real-world implications. For AI, we can stop asking the binary question, is it conscious, and start asking, how dense is its informational integration? What level of cognition is it on the gradient? In health, we can finally see that the mind and body aren't separate things. A thought, which is an information pattern, can literally condense into physical inflammation in the body. It's one system. And in our own minds, we can see that anxiety isn't a defect, but a persistent informational pattern playing out in the field of our awareness.
And this brings us right to the most personal takeaway. We treat our identities, our egos, as if they're solid, fixed things. But if your sense of self is just a stable, condensed pattern of information, then you're not a static rock. You are a dynamic, complex vibration. You're a jazz chord.
And that's the final crucial point. A jazz chord can be changed, you can modulate to a new key, you're not stuck. Realizing that you are a continuous pattern, not a separate particle, gives you the agency to actually reshape that pattern. So the question this leaves us with isn't what are you, it's what pattern will you choose to become.